watch if they would like. And so we stream these live to YouTube. So that is started now. And then finally, I need to read through our hearing script. This will basically just cover the procedure for the hearing. And then we'll jump right into the presentation of the applicant's case. So this is the, February 9th, 2022 session of the zoning hearing examiner docket. My name is David Sturkey. I'm the zoning hearing examiner for the city of Cincinnati, and I'll preside over this hearing. The case before us today is case number ZH20220001. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and any opposing parties to testify and offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing, unless a party has submitted evidence or testimony in the form of writing prior to this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. The public will then have an opportunity to speak after the applicant has presented its case. The zoning plans examiner, Trey Sheldon, will have an opportunity to testify after the public has had a chance to speak. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant shall have an opportunity to rebut that testimony and or argument offered in opposition. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony. That's generally testimony you want to introduce that consists of statements made by someone who's not present here today. In the event of any technical difficulties with the video conferencing technology, I will do my best to troubleshoot those on the fly, but to the extent there is some defect that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with the hearing, I may continue or postpone this hearing at my discretion. Okay, last thing I need to do is just swear in all of our witnesses. So if you intend on providing any testimony here today, making any comments, asking any questions, doing anything other than just strictly observing the hearing, then you need to be sworn in. So if that is you, if you could take yourself off mute and raise your right hand, I need everyone to answer out loud. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay, great. Who's going to be taking the lead here on the presentation of the applicant's case?
Are we talking about 5401 Reading, Makatiwa?
We're talking about 5401 Reading, Makatiwa Country Club. There's a conditional use approval application and a locational variance. I just need someone to tell me about the project, some background. Why do you think the relief is appropriate and why I should grant it?
Sure. Makatiwa Country Club has been in the community well over 100 years. The project proposes to basically expand their golf center operations to square off the building. The building is down in an incline with several yards in a fenced-in area, several yards away from any neighbors. Any activity would not be directed toward any neighboring properties.
So the project is just for an addition, is that right, to an existing clubhouse or golf center?
Correct.
Okay. And how large is the addition?
I think, Mark, do you have Brad there with you?
It's about 40 by 40 square feet.
Okay. And let's see, and the purpose of the addition is to just expand golf center. Could you tell me more about that?
Sure. It's the center is also used by Xavier University, and it's also will allow their membership to have the use and enjoyment of the amenities of on site of the club. Clearly, it's their membership has grown, and therefore are proposing to increase the number, the access to the amenities to, decrease wait time, et cetera, as well as to accommodate the Xavier University golf team.
Okay. All right, thank you. Mr. Betchel, anything you'd like to add?
The expansions just add 2 additional hitting bays to the area that we already have 4 hitting bays. That's it.
Okay. These are, I assume, indoor, the hitting bays are indoors? I'm not a golfer. Okay. All right. Anything else from the applicant or owner that you guys would like to offer before I move to public comment? Okay. Ms. Black, anything you'd like to ask or comment on in regards to this project?
No, I just didn't know what it was about, so it's here to listen.
Sure. Here, let me, because I'm guessing, Ms. Black, you may not have been able to review some of the documents here. Can you see my screen, Ms. Black?
Yes.
Okay. So this is sort of an overhead shot of the country, the whole country club. And I think this area here where my mouse is where they're proposing to add an addition. So this is a more zoomed in shot. And to the applicant's owners, you're essentially just going to square this off right
Correct.
here. Okay. And let's see, this is sort of a side profile of what you're proposing here.
Correct.
Okay. Gotcha. In the floor plan. So going back over here again, this is how far, to the applicant's owners, how far is this from any nearby residences?
David, I've actually spoken to that in my staff report. I believe it's 700 and some feet, 700 or so feet to the south. And if you were going east, so over toward Reading Road, it'd be like 950 or something feet. And this is down in as Ms. Volpe indicated, this is down in kind of a topographic depression. It's about 25 feet lower than the surrounding area, and of course, it's completely surrounded by golf course with trees and shrubs and so on. So, most people won't even notice this is happening.
Okay, gotcha. All right, thanks. Mr. Sheldon, anything else you wanted to add that wasn't mentioned so far on this project?
No, I mean, we kind of discussed the overall layout and the distance, and the fact that it's buffered by all of the golf course at a hearing several months back last year for their pickleball courts. And this is just an additional, I think this is about the most minimal request I've ever had to, have a hearing for conditional use, insofar as they're essentially filling in a notch in an existing building. So I don't see any adverse impacts or whatsoever. So.
Okay. All right. Anything else in closing or otherwise from Mr. Betchel or Volpe?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would request that, if your finding is favorable, that we would be allowed to get a conditional release of our building permit, so we could begin our building operations, realizing that, we would accept any risk, that would come with that.
Unfortunately, as I explained to you, Ms. Volpe, on the phone when you and I were initially discussing this, when I gave you all the application materials and my previous staff report for your reference and so on, for assurance, like for example, for a residential property, suppose they do basic drawings of what we just had one previously where it was for a detached garage with some living space above, and they haven't done every last little detail of the windows or of the load bearing walls or all that. They just had drawings for the hearing. So sometimes when Mr. Sturkey indicates that he's going to approve a project, it allows that person to go ahead and proceed with more detailed drawings, for example. But I can't, I'm not supposed to approve anything until it's in writing from him that there's a written decision.
Yeah, so let me jump in, Trey. So just to finish off the hearing, then we can answer some of these questions in more detail. So I have reviewed the application. I've reviewed the application materials. Based on that and the testimony here today, I'm going to approve this project. I need to actually formalize that approval in a written decision. Once that I finish that decision, I put it into a PDF, and I'll send a copy of that decision to everyone who is in the hearing today. You'll have it just moments after it's complete. That usually takes about 2 weeks based on the queue that I have now with other projects. I'll do everything I can to try and get it to you faster. And if you'd like an update on the status of that decision or where I'm at with that decision, the written decision, please feel free to reach out to me, email me, and I can give you an update. Typically, our zoning staff is not able to greenlight any permits until they have a copy of that written decision. But knowing that it is going to be approval, sometimes that does help folks, particularly contractors, with some assurance that they can move forward on other steps that don't require the actual permit before you do that. So hopefully that's clear. Trey, if you want to jump back in with any other details I missed, that's fine. But I don't think they allow for conditional approvals, but Trey, should she reach out to Bob Martin or something if she wants that?
Well, yeah, what I'm going to do real quick while we're on, since this was a very brief, I'm going to put in the permit number and see where the status is with all the other departments. So, so that we know. And as I indicated to Ms. Volpe, I mean, I can, as soon as I have your decision, I can, if I'm the only one holding this up, I can immediately, flip the permit and approve it. But I'm just making sure there's no other revisions or anything. Give me just a second. It'll take about 30 seconds. Just trying to pull up and see. So it looks like the building plan examiner has approved this, and yeah, so I'm not, sometimes there are other departments that need to weigh in, but I do not. Sometimes I can talk to Bob Martin. Sometimes they'll allow foundations to start to be put in, things of that nature, prior to the permit, but of course, prior to an approval, but then the person is at risk themselves of for some reason, the decision's not, not favorable, then they're at risk. Sometimes people do that. They put in foundations so that they can shoot their property line. That's typically the situation we find where we do a conditional approval, is either a covenant, or you have a situation where someone has say a row of townhomes or something, or row houses, and they want to put those foundations in and shoot the lines of that. Now, if for some reason that project's not approved later, well, then they have foundations poured that they might have to change. But that's the only time typically when we do the conditional approvals.
Okay, great. Well, if you have more questions on that, Ms. Volpe, feel free to reach out to myself or to Mr. Sheldon after the hearing. Thank you all for your time and your testimony here today, and hope you have a wonderful day. We are adjourned.